Welcome to Fantasy Audiobook. I'm a Fantastic Beasts master at Hogwarts. Chapter 21. By the way, don't be afraid that Lizon won't be able to handle the 5,000 galleons. Regarding the untraceable stretching curse, there is a time limit for beginners to cast it on items. At the same time, the area will not be too large, and the weight will not be eliminated. That is to say, the total weight of the items you put in is as much as you hold. Do you feel a little tasteless? Maybe it is because you can't hold so many things that you need the help of the untraceable stretching curse, but you said that there is no way to eliminate it, so what's the use of you? But as mentioned earlier, the power of a spell is not only related to the amount of magic power, but also related to the wizard. To be precise, it has to do with the wizard's understanding of the spell and his proficiency. It's like a cutting curse, which in Ron's hands can only cut thread ends and sleeves, but in the hands of the black wizard who attacked Lizon, it is a sharp weapon for killing people. It was also mentioned just now that it is a beginner. After mastering it proficiently, it can be kept permanently, and the area can be expanded by at least 10 times, but the weight can only be reduced by half, and the other half cannot be helped. If you want to achieve the level of storage bags and storage rings in the novel, you must be proficient in this spell. Like the bag in Lizon's hand, although the space is not particularly large, it has reached the level of proficiency in the untraceable stretching mantra. In fact, Lizon can also use the bag of the untraceable stretch curse to cover up, and put it directly in the small world's warehouse. Curry, nothing is safer than there. It's just that I still need to use it when I go to the Fantastic Beasts store, so I don't bother to go back and forth like this. When I came to the Fantastic Beasts store, Lizon took a look. Sure enough, the magical animals sold here are basically magical animals with danger level 30 and below. As for the danger levels 4x and XXXXX, they don't exist at all. By the way, there is an explanation in Newt Scamander's Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them about this danger level division. XXXXX animals known to kill wizards, impossible to domesticate or tame. XXXXX dangerous, requiring specialized knowledge, skilled wizards to deal with. XXX capable wizards to deal with, XX harmless tameable, X annoying. The dangerous level of the bird snake obtained by Lizon is 4x. I didn't expect it, but think about it, if the bird snake grows unscrupulously, it can indeed reach this level given their size. The entire Fantastic Beasts store was very crowded, and the walls were so densely hung with cages that it was impossible to count them. There are many animals sold in the store, but basically there are many kinds of pets. For example, poisonous orange snails, big turtles studded with jewels on their shells, glossy black mice, cats of various colors, velvet, owls and so on. Lizon took a look, and rounded up the billywigs, bowtruckles, and 4 little sniffles in the store, and bought dozens of purongbrongs. As for why the pudding is not round, the main reason is that there are too many puddings here, and the purchase of new students is the peak season for business, and small creatures like puddings are the best sellers, so there are almost 100 of them in the Fantastic Beasts store. Lizon doesn't need so much cattail. Although it's not bad for money, it can't be made like this. Besides, even if I finished buying it myself, the happiest thing would be the store owner, who can still buy more. Puffs are not other rare magical animals, there are as many of these small creatures as there are. In addition to the 4 magical animals mentioned above, Lizon also discovered that there was actually a pair of witchbirds for sale in the magical animal shop. One was pink and the other was lime green, and Lizon's collection addiction came up. You must know that it is not that simple to see the witchbird here in Diagon Alley. After all, the place of origin of the witchbird is Africa. But when Lizon wanted to buy the pair of rogue birds, he was asked if he had a crocodile breeding license. Only then did Lizon recall that the witchbird's cry is extremely high and can make those who hear it lose their minds. Therefore, the witchbird can only be sold after casting the silence curse, and every month, but also need to strengthen the silence spell. Therefore, in order to prevent the sound of the witchbird from causing trouble, the Ministry of Magic stipulated that wizards must obtain a license to raise the witchbird. After all, this kind of bird must be taken seriously. Like a wizard with a hippogriff, the hippogriff must be cast with the disillusionment charm by Ministry of Magic law once to distract muggles who might see it, and must be cast on a daily basis. Of course, Lizon doesn't have the vampire's license anymore, and he doesn't even master the silent spell, so he can only temporarily say goodbye to the vampire. As for why it was said to be temporary, it was naturally because Li Zan gave the other party a very friendly price and asked the other party to keep the pair of wicked birds for himself. Seeing Li Zan's generous spending, and this time's big order, the store owner has nothing to do, even if Li Zan doesn't say that he still plans to get in touch with Li Zan more. Such a super big client must have a good relationship. Who would have trouble with Jin Zilong? Looking at the other party like this, the magical animals in front of him seemed not enough to satisfy his appetite. Who doesn't like a guest like this? Since the store owner has been so obvious, and the other party has been in the business of magical animals for so many years, the channel must be better than his own, so Li Zan placed a lot of orders and paid a deposit in advance so that the smile on the other party's face was bright. A few points. In the end, Li Zan left with the magical animal he bought and was sent off by the shop owner. This time, the purpose of coming has been achieved. The so-called big bags and small bags were all collected in the small world after Li Zan turned around and entered an empty alley. He didn't intend to just go home with dozens of magical animals. That's like a firefly in the dark, very obvious. Li Zan even went around Diagon Alley a few more times, but found that no one was following him, and after leaving Diagon Alley, he directly used Apparition to return to No. 8 Privet Drive. After dragging off all the camouflage on his body, and then restoring his body shape, I have to say that the ability of the bird and snake is really useful. Li Zan even used it locally. After all, he is definitely not the only one who has this idea. It's like a survey of superhero abilities in previous lives. Do you want the speed of the Flash, or the controllable ability of Ant-Man to grow and shrink? Aha, I won't say much about the result in everyone's thoughts. After all, the god of crabs is elusive, so don't dare to provoke them. Let's take a look at the magical animals harvested today. Entering the small world, billywig bugs and bowtruckles are all placed in the villa built by Li Zan. Now the 5 birds and snakes are constantly walking around and looking at them curiously. With Li Zan's teaching, they will not harm these magical animals indiscriminately. Especially when they are still trapped in cages, the birds and snakes are mainly afraid that these little guys will come out and scurry around and destroy them. Seeing Li Zan coming in, the 5 birds and snakes flapped their wings and lay on Li Zan's body in the usual way. You and I took credit for Li Zan, proving that he was not there. They took good care of the bowtruckle and the others. You guys did a great job. I'll cook grilled fish for you in a while. Li Zan touched the head of each bird and snake one by one. That is Li Zan. If it were someone else, let alone touch them, they would have bitten them off with their hands. Maybe it's always in turmoil. Because there was no way to go down to the lake to catch fish, when Li Zan caught fish himself and grilled it, the birds and snakes were also curious and wanted to eat it. As a result, I was overwhelmed by the smell of grilled fish, not the kind with a lot of grilled ingredients, but the purest grilled fish. This kind of grilled fish is the most suitable for their taste, and Li Zan will take this as a reward later. Although it doesn't matter if there are these birds and snakes guarding them, after all, firstly, there are cages, and secondly, Li Zan has also set up restrictions in some places, and he cannot enter without his permission. Just like the innate 5 elements spiritual liquid pool and the 5 elements gathering array, Li Zan simply hid them directly so that no one could see or touch them, thus solving the problem from the root. Avoid wasting the innate 5 elements psychic liquid and destroying the 5 elements spirit gathering array. Li Zan released the largest number of cattails from the cage first. These small animals with a danger level of XX can be seen all over the world. With a body shaped like a small ball, and covered with creamy yellow soft fur all over the body, these docile little guys are very clingy and not afraid of people at all. Their docile nature has made them beloved by generations of wizarding children, and they remain popular pets among wizards. Some of them even crawled on Li Zan playfully. They didn't respond particularly to being hugged and thrown by people. These little guys are also very easy to take care of. When they are satisfied with taking care of them, they will hum a little tune that humans can't understand. From time to time, a very slender pink tongue will emerge from the middle of its body, stretching out and spitting around the room like a snake, looking for food. Pundits are scavengers that eat everything from leftovers to spiders. It especially likes sticking its tongue up into the noses of sleeping wizards and eating their dried boogers. But Li Zan doesn't like this point. Li Zan can talk about other things here, but he must strictly abide by this point about hygiene. Therefore, this habit of the cattail must be changed, and it is not allowed to eat rotten food. I don't have many other things here, but I will eat a lot. I'm not afraid that Li Zan will not be able to teach these cattails, and feel that there is no way to communicate. With the existence of the beast Lingzu, it is not a problem at all. He ordered the dozens of them to stand neatly in front of him, as if they were in a queue. Li Zan told them his rules and let them disband. After seeing these little guys, the happiest thing was not Li Zan, but the 5 birds and snakes. After all, for them, it was equivalent to having so many partners all at once. The animals living in the small world are all food for them. Only in this way are the same magical animals, and those with human nature can be partners. Li Zan also gave an order not to allow the magical animals to harm and prey on each other. Some daring cats even climbed onto the back of a bird and snake, allowing the other party to take them flying in the sky. Li Zan didn't care about these little guys, just let them make a fuss. These velvets are meant to be kept as pets. Looking at the remaining magical animals, Li Zan decided to release the 4 little nifflers first. These 4 little snuffers were all different colors, not the same as Newt's commander's solid black one. These 4 are always black, one is yellow, one is pure black but has a little white hair on its neck, and the last one is dark green all over, but also has a little white hair on its neck. These 4 little guys are restless even if they are locked in a cage. They are playing and playing there. It should be said that they are playing the game of stacking arhats there. But the dark green shisho and black shisho at the bottom are not so happy. You little fellows, come out. Li Zan opened the cage, and the 4 little snuffers saw that the cage was opened, and they didn't care about playing around anymore. With short legs, they ran quickly out of the cage. As soon as I came out, I was shocked by the decoration in the room. Perhaps it should feel like I have entered a treasure house. All kinds of shiny things exude a strong temptation to them, and when they are about to move their short legs towards the treasure, they realize that they can't move, and they can't help crying anxiously. Looking at these 4 little guys, Li Zan smiled helplessly. It's no wonder that this kind of little thing makes people love and hate. Naturally, the love is because these little guys have the function of searching for treasures. The gold coin is dedicated to the master, and it is given to the master with his mouth. This animal is covered with slender black fur and has a mouth like a platypus. It looks like a plush doll. It likes everything that shines. It loves to run away and collect all booling items, such as diamonds, jewelry, gold coins and more. There is a storage space in their stomachs, which can store the treasures they find, but if they scratch their stomachs upside down, the things in their stomachs will fall out. Niusho, who was given the nickname, the boy who makes money, has become the #1 pet that many people dream of. He is released during the day and caught at night. If he scratches his belly, he can make a fortune while lying down. Even goblins often keep nifflers to dig for treasure deep underground. This kind of greedy and fond of collecting treasures doesn't care about their age. Just look at these 4 anxious little guys. Although Shisho has a gentle personality and even treats you tenderly, its greedy temper will not be restrained just because you are its owner. So if you keep it at home, your treasures will definitely disappear inexplicably. But if you can't see it, you can definitely find one by looking for Shisho, and sometimes you can even get extra gains. When Li Zan saw Shisho in his previous life, he thought that it would be great if he had such a Shisho. At that time, I don't have to be a hard-working worker. I just need to go out with Shisho for a walk every day, and when I come back, I can lie down and make money. Don't think too much. This lying down is not what you think, but you can get the treasure that Shisho brought to you while lying down. This is what is called the realization of real freedom of wealth. What is the soul of migrant workers? Migrant workers are all superior to others, which paralyzes themselves. 996007. As long as you work hard enough, the boss will drive a Ferrari. As long as you work harder, the boss will be able to live the life he wants as soon as possible. This is the true portrayal. The front is nothing but self-paralysis. Li Zan didn't expect that he could have not only 1, but even 4 in time travel. This time, it's not just double the happiness, but double the double. But in this world, even if he didn't sniff them, Li Zan wouldn't be short of wealth, but who doesn't like free money? Right. Stand up, Li Zan said to the 4 little guys who were fixed. You can't take or move things around the house, do you hear me? The little snuffers looked at the treasure at home and nodded a little disappointed. After all, they would definitely listen to Lizon's words. After all, they are their own masters. The moment they enter the small world again, they will recognize the master. Seeing the little sniffers like this, Lizon smiled, and of course gave a carrot to comfort him. In order to compensate you, I decided to give you 100 gold galleons as compensation. The nest over there belongs to you, so digging around in the house is not allowed. When the little sniffers heard this expression of disappointment, they immediately dissipated, and changed into an expression that seemed to have won a super prize, 100 gold galleons. Lizon went on to say, because generally snuffers dig a nest for themselves 20 feet underground. As for habits and so on, these little guys are still young, like birds and snakes, they can be cultivated from an early age, so naturally there is no such problem. Crack la la la. The sound of Lizon taking out 100 gold galleons and falling to the ground immediately opened the eyes of the 4 little snuffers. Lizon Yi let go of the restriction on them, and immediately ran into the pile of gold galleons and rolled around. Afterwards, he began to want to stuff the galleons into the storage space in his stomach, but now that they are so small, a gold galleon is 1/3 the size of them, how could they fit in? But it doesn't matter, the sniffing carrying team reports for duty. Each of the 4 snuffers ran towards the lair that Lizon pointed out to them with a gold galleon in their platypus-like mouths. These nests were prepared by Lizon a few days ago, because he knew that there would definitely be new magical animals coming to the Fantastic Beasts store, so he prepared nests for these cuties in advance. As for these little snuffers carrying the galleons, Lizon didn't intend to lend a helping hand, the money-greedy nature of these little guys wouldn't let others intervene. Look over there, there are curious purongrongs who want to go over there to have a look, but they are chased away by the little snuffers. The puddings who are making fun of themselves think that the blue and green birds and snakes are more friendly, they all ran over. Seeing that no one was bothering them, the little sniffers continued to carry the galleon. Lizon intentionally placed Jinjalong here instead of directly putting them in their dens. In the eyes of others, the little snuffers were very hardworking and tired. But how do you know that this is not a process that the other party is enjoying? The child is not a fish, and knows the joy of fish. Anyway, Lizon could feel the emotions of the little sniffers, and knew that their current emotions were joyful. This kind of harvested happiness was stronger than finding this pile of gold galleons directly in the nest. Ignore these little guys, it seems that their handling work will take a long time. If puddings and sniffles are meant to be kept as pets, Lizon bought Billywigs and Bowtruckles as tool pets. Bowtruckles can sometimes work as part-time pets, but Billywigs with a danger level of XXX are purely tool pets. About half an inch 1.3 centimeters long, blue with a bright sapphire sheen, it's an insect native to Australia and Asia. Billywig's wings grow on both sides of the top of the head, and the flapping speed is very fast. When it flies, its body will rotate. Because of its agility, muggles seldom pay attention to it, and wizards don't see it very often unless stung by it. The 5 times of the billywig is the slender stinging needle on the body. Anyone who is stung by the billywig will feel dizzy and then float up. Even generations of young wizards in Australia and Asia are trying their best to catch billywig bugs, catching them just to let billywig bugs sting themselves. Unexpectedly, their purpose is to obtain this kind of incidental floating effect. But if you are overly stung by billywigs, congratulations, you will be floating in the air uncontrollably for the next few days, becoming the most beautiful cub. This is not the most frightening thing. The most frightening thing is that once there is a severe allergic reaction, it will be followed by permanent wandering. That is to say, you will be a floating person in the future, living in midair. You have to tie a rope to your feet like a hot air balloon, otherwise when a gust of wind blows over, you will be blown away directly. Dried billywig stingers are used in a variety of potions, and the stinger is even thought to be the ingredient in the popular candy, Fizzy Bees. As for whether it is true or not, a little wizard asked Ambuluo Shufrome, the boss of Honeydukes, and the answer he got was, an excellent little wizard will find out the answer by himself. Then under the flicker of Ambuluo Shu, in the name of research, he spent a lot of galleons to buy a bunch of sizzling bee candies. It has to be said that this is a shrewd businessman. By the way, Zizzy Honey is a sherbet ball that makes people float into the air, so it's no surprise that people have speculated about it. The ability of the billywig can sometimes have unexpected effects, which is why Lizon bought a lot of them, of course not to crack the secret recipe of the sizzling bees. Lizon bought a lot of billywigs and let them live with them in the small world, and he was not afraid that they would buy them again if they couldn't reproduce. Finally, there are those bowtruckles. The bowtruckle is an animal that guards trees. The danger level is XX. It mainly lives in certain forests in western England, southern Germany and Scandinavia. These little guys made of bark and twigs are looking at Lizon with their small brown eyes. There is no fear in their eyes, only curiosity. Don't forget, what is Lizon's passive talent, and it is said that it has a bonus in the small world. In addition, bowtruckles are peaceful and extremely shy creatures, so naturally they will not be aggressive towards Lizon, let alone being brought into the small world by Lizon. They are also keenly aware of the aura in the air arrive. The aura in the air is also good for them, so naturally they don't have any hostility towards Lizon. So the smart ones came out after Lizon opened the cage, just like the puddings were forced by Lizon to stand in line. Although it was a little crooked, not particularly neat, and looked good, it gave Lizon a big surprise. It shows that these little guys are very smart, and they can learn to imitate and watch their words. Who wouldn't like such a cute little guy? For these bowtruckles, Lizon naturally intends to release them into the wild. After all, they are an animal that guards trees. Although they look harmless to humans and animals, they seem to be very talkative. But when the tree it lives in is threatened, it will leap down and pounce on the loggers who are trying to destroy its home, gouging their eyes with its long, sharp fingers. That doesn't mean there's no way to get wood from bowtruckles. As long as you give these little guys woodjacks, they'll be happy for a long time, and these snacks won't care what you do at this time. It also means that you can remove wood from the tree. Don't think that the wood is useless. Bowtruckles don't choose trees that don't have magical qualities to live in, which means that the trees they guard are often used to craft wands. That is to say, the wood you remove can be used to make wands. Although you don't know how to do it, you can sell it to Ollivander, who will definitely give you a satisfactory price. Get out the bowtruckles and billywigs. They are meant to live in the forest, of course. Looking at the billywig that disappeared completely after being released, and the bowtruckles who were stunned by the trees in front of them. Unexpectedly, under the influence of aura, every tree has the potential to become a magic wand, and now they don't know how to choose. Lizon didn't interfere in their selection, watching them pick one by one. In fact, this time Lizon didn't get the magical animal that Lizon really wanted. What Lizon wanted was two kinds of magical animals. One is the ball-stalking bird, and the other is the invisible beast. They are all because of their ability. The ball-escape bird, although it is a bird with a fat body, a fluffy body, and a flightless bird. But it is known for its extraordinary means of escaping danger, disappearing without a trace with little effort, and emerging from another place. This ability is a bit like teleportation, but it's also a bit like walking in dark space, that is, letting yourself hide in another dimension, where you can't be seen or noticed by others. This ability is naturally a good means of escape, and Lizon's purpose of obtaining the invisible beast is also the same. From the name of the invisible beast, we can know that this is a magical animal that can become invisible. If Lizon obtains it, he will naturally be able to use its invisible ability. These two abilities are very helpful for Lizon's next plan, or for doing something in Hogwarts in the future. But it's a pity that if a magical animal with a danger level of XX like the ball-done bird can still be purchased in the Fantastic Beasts store, then an invisible beast with a danger level of 4X is almost impossible. Not to mention whether the Ministry of Magic will sell it or not, it is not necessarily whether someone can capture it. After all, the invisible beast not only has the ability to be invisible, but also can foresee the future when its eyes glow. Coupled with the ability to be invisible, the possibility of capturing it is basically zero. In addition, the fur of the invisible beast is very valuable, and its hair can be used to weave invisibility cloaks, so generally even if a wizard catches it, there are very few shots. Coupled with the Ministry of Magic's ban, invisible beasts like this basically cannot be traded on the bright side. If Lizon hadn't spent so much money all of a sudden, the owner of the Fantastic Beasts store might not have accepted his pre-order. I'm afraid the Ministry of Magic would be a fairy. In addition, magical animals such as invisible beasts can only be seen in the Far East, and only wizards who are good at catching them can see them. So Lizon's appointment can only be said to be completely random. Even the ball-flying birds may not be able to be bought. After all, the free disappearing ability of the ball-flying birds makes them difficult to catch. But it's better than just sitting and waiting. One more channel is naturally more hope. Seeing that these magical animals have made their homes in the small world, Lizon left the small world without caring about them. The next day, with Lizon on one side and wearing a hood, he went to the leaky cauldron again. This time, he didn't intend to continue making big purchases in the past, but to find an informant. That's right, it's an informant. You don't need the other party to do anything, just need the other party to carry it around the leaky cauldron all day, and then tell yourself when you find Hagrid passing by the leaky cauldron with a little boy one day. Hagrid's size is very recognizable, and he is almost the only half-breed Titan like him in the English wizarding world. Besides, when he brought Harry Potter with him that day, with his mouth, he would definitely say Harry Potter's name. At that time, it will definitely cause a huge sensation, and I am not afraid that the down-and-out wizard in front of me can't help it. As for why Lizon needs to know which day Hagrid brought Harry Potter to Diagon Alley, not to see Harry Potter, this little guy hasn't seen enough this year. There are still 5 or 6 years to see in the future. I want to know when he will come to Diagon Alley because the theft will happen at Gringotts that night. Lizon wants to fish in troubled waters, and take some things from Gringotts while in trouble. Time was slowly passing by like this bit by bit, and the Dursley family had moved away for a while. If nothing else happened, Lizon reckoned that the time when Hagrid went to pick up Harry Potter should be the nearest, which means that these 2 days are the days when Gringotts was stolen. Of course, whether the theft is real or fake, fact or a play, only those involved will understand. After all, this is the real world, not a children's book written by Ms. J.K. Is it today? While Lizon was thinking, he suddenly received a message from that wizard. It turned out that Hagrid had just taken Harry Potter to Diagon Alley. Lizon looked at the calendar, August 29th, 3 days before the start of school, a little earlier than the original timeline. But it doesn't matter, the butterfly effect is no stranger to Lizon, butterfly. Fortunately, I had prepared for it long ago, knowing that from the moment I came into this world, many things began to slowly change. And as time goes on, more and more parts will change, so you can barely rely on the plot profit at the beginning, but if you want to rely on the familiar plot to eat the world in the middle and late stages, then you can only say that you are definitely the one who gets eaten. Since tonight is the time for the stolen magician in Gringotts, it's time for him to start preparing. Lizon got up, went into the small world to prepare some things, changed his shape, and went to the leaky cauldron to book a room. Open the door. The dim light can't illuminate the whole room at all, although it looks very dark, but at least there is no peculiar smell, but it's normal when you think about it. There is a cleaning spell, the room can be dirty and messy, so it can't be justified, right? And the price is not cheap, like this room that Lizon booked. It cost 16 silver sickles for 2 days, 8 silver sickles a day, which is almost a gold galleon. As for why I booked for 2 days, after all, wouldn't it be over tonight? That's because Lizon still wants to eat melons from the sidelines and see what will happen in the future. Information is very important to Lizon. The so-called rebirth, the so-called time travel, actually rely on advanced information to develop himself. Lizon has no development informants in the magic world, and no one specially collects information for him, so he can only come by himself. As for the room at the leaky cauldron, Lizon was just looking for the nearest place to stay, and he wouldn't live here at night. A small, dark room with nothing but a boat, a table, a chair, and a wardrobe. Compared with the Lakeview villas in the small world, this kind of living conditions is completely different. Why don't you have to suffer if there are good places? I looked at the time, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, there is still time. Lizon enters the small world to take a nap, and I will stay up late tonight, so I need to recharge my batteries. This time Lizon slept very comfortably, and solved the problem of dinner in the small world. What's for dinner? Of course it was grilled fish. Lizon, who rarely came in to start a fire in the small world, was naturally pestered by birds and snakes to make him fulfill the promise of grilled fish he said earlier. Not only the birds and snakes, but also the little snuffers and the plush fluffs are all clamoring beside Lizon to eat together. Because during this period of time, they got along with the birds and snakes, and they were deliciously grilled by the birds and snakes more than once. But it is a pity that no matter whether it is a bird, a snake, a smell, or a cattail, none of them have the ability to go into the water to catch fish. In addition, even if they catch the fish, they don't know how to grill it, let alone how to match the seasoning, so they can only rely on Lizon if they want to eat it. Naturally, Lizon would not refuse, even if there were more Xiaoshusho and Pundengrong, it was just a matter of grilling a few more fish. With the size of the little snuffers, 2 snuffers can eat one, not to mention the pussies, don't look too small. But basically, the body is supported by the creamy yellow soft fur, and the real body is at most similar to a table tennis ball. In the end, Lizon didn't expect that there were so many puddings that he couldn't finish eating 3 grilled fish. There was no way, and there were not many small snacks. But they also tasted the grilled fish that the birds and snakes are thinking about, and the taste is really good. No wonder the birds and snakes have been talking about this, and they like it too. Not to mention that Shisho and Purongrong don't eat grilled fish. Shisho is an omnivorous animal, and Purongrong usually eats leftovers in wizard families. Leftovers can be eaten, so of course normal meals can also be eaten. As for the Billywigs and Bowtruckles, the former didn't know where to go, unless Lizon specially summoned them. As for the Bowtruckles, they are distributed all over the world. It can be said that they are scattered all over the small world, and it is hard to find a place to stay. It seems so cruel to let them run back and back with short legs. In addition, they don't eat grilled fish, so there is no need to call them back. At night, after most of the shops in Diagon Alley were closed, Lizon sneaked in quietly. This time Lizon also used the ability of the size of a bird and snake. But this time, he not only grew bigger, but also used the ability to shrink, making himself only the size of a grain of rice, and then used the floating spell to move himself, quietly staying on the flag of a shop in front of Gringotts Bank. The Gringotts Bank in front of me was also closing time, and all the goblins closed the door and left after counting today's galleons, except for the guard at the door. At the same time, the guardian magic of Gringotts Bank is also turned on, which is similar to the principle of the magic shield raised by Hogwarts when Hogwarts dueled with Voldemort in the original timeline, and the magic is all protected. Gringotts had just closed, so the robber naturally wouldn't come to the door so soon, and Lizon didn't put all his heart on Gringotts. At this point in time, standing on the high ground, looking at Diagon Alley has a different feeling. It was late at night, and the originally noisy Diagon Alley became much quieter. Most of the shops were closed, such as Ollivander's wand shop that Lizon had visited before, Madame Malkin's robe store, Fantastic Beasts store and so on. However, many stores are still open, such as Lihan bookstore, but they are buying goods while there are not many customers. And Florin Fusco's ice cream parlor over there, and Horror Tours Wizard Travel, which is not responsible for any injuries or injuries that may occur while traveling. The travel and vacation projects provided by this travel agency are not simple, they are all very thrilling and exciting, such as renting out a vampire's castle, hiking along the zombie trail, visiting the Bermuda Triangle and so on. Just look at the other parties' projects and you'll know that they are still open so late, just to see if there is any wizard who is not afraid of death to contribute KPIs to them. There is also Mrs. Primpney's beauty pharmacy over there. This off-duty time is when the other party's business is booming, and the witches are now free to come over for maintenance after get-off work. And the same goes for Florin Fusco's ice cream parlor. Lizon just watched quietly like this. Looking at Diagon Alley from this perspective is also a different experience. For Lizon, he didn't feel bored. Time passed bit by bit, and slowly, the entire Diagon Alley became quiet, and all the shops were closed. Did the hooting of an owl make this place a little weirder, or ordinary people would definitely be terrified here? But with power in his hands, Lizon is naturally not afraid. After all, he is confident that he can face any crisis with his own strength. If he can't, he hides in the small world. Boom! In the dead of night, a huge explosion sounded from Gringotts, resounding through the night sky of Diagon Alley. The opportunity is here. Hearing the explosion, Lizon didn't panic, instead his eyes lit up, and he was so excited. The whole person did not return to its original size, and flew directly towards Gringotts Bank. Don't forget that apart from the ability of the bird and snake to be as big as you want, it can also fly. Naturally, Li Zan borrowed the abilities of magical animals without changing the corresponding organs. If Li Zan couldn't fly like a bird or snake without wings, then the beast spirit orb would be too good. As long as it is the ability possessed by magical animals, Li Zan can borrow it without any other restrictions or requirements. At this time, the magic protective cover outside Gringotts has been destroyed. In fact, Li Zan thinks that it is more likely to be closed voluntarily. After all, such an explosion can destroy the protective cover. Do you think you're some Dark Lord with no nose? Li Zan didn't think Hagrid had the same power as Voldemort. If that was the case, he wouldn't be just an ordinary guard of the Forbidden Forest. The open Gringotts door and the vault door made Li Zan more convinced that the theft was the same thing this time. The guess in his heart was correct. Li Zan ignored the big clumsy man, and flew directly towards the underground of the vault. Because this self-directed and self-acted theft case showed that the other party opened the door of convenience here at Gringotts, it also meant that Hagrid didn't spend much time, and Li Zan didn't have much time to act. This time Li Zan came in with 2 goals, so the time is still very tight. Li Zan sprinted forward along the track. Although the underground tunnel was very dark, it couldn't stop Li Zan's pace. Wah wah wah. Li Zan, who had been flying at full speed for a while, heard the sound of running water coming from ahead, and knew that his destination was approaching, because the sound of running water meant that he was about to go to Gringotts to guard against burglars specially set up for the underground vault. Falls. The anti-thief waterfall can wash away all the spells, so as to prevent some dark wizards from pretending to be other wizards to enter the underground vault. Like Harry Potter in the original timeline, they used this method in order to get one of Voldemort's Horcruxes, Hufflepuff's Golden Cup. It's just that after being baptized by the anti-thief waterfall, they were all exposed, and that Goblin Griphook also cheated on Harry Potter and the others once, greedily taking away Gryffindor's sword. But in the end, he also paid the price for his greed, and it was the price of his life, directly dying at Voldemort's hands. In the end, his greedy Gryffindor sword also disappeared, and was finally used by Neville to achieve the title of Juggernaut. Li Zan rushed directly through the anti-thief waterfall, and the current didn't affect him at all, because he wasn't using a spell at all, so the anti-thief waterfall had no effect on him. After rushing through the anti-thief waterfall, continue forward to a suspended track, which is specially designed here. If there is a problem with the wizard who comes in, it will directly fall from the track. Falling from such a height, if there is no preparation, it will turn into a puddle of meat. Even if they use the floating spell to escape this catastrophe, it doesn't matter, the goblins still have a backhand, and that is the executioner who guards here, a Yuleng iron-bellied dragon, and a powerful fire dragon. And Li Zan's goal this time is exactly it, a free fire dragon. As a person who wants to become a master of magical animals, how can he refuse such a temptation? And in the magic world, it is impossible to buy a fire dragon in this situation, whether it is a young dragon or a dragon egg, let alone an adult dragon like this. Not to mention that Hagrid got a Norwegian spinyback egg casually, it was brought by a Dark Lord. Don't doubt the means and channels of a Dark Lord, even a down-and-out devil, but some backgrounds are still better than many wizard families. All-powerful. Roar. After landing, Li Zan regained his body shape. Feeling that someone stepped into his territory, the Yuleng iron-bellied dragon roared loudly, but Li Zan could hear Fang Yin's pain hidden inside from its roar. It's just that when Li Zan appeared in front of it, the poor fire dragon stopped its aggressive roar, because it felt a kind of closeness to Li Zan. Woo! The fire dragon, which has been tormented all this time, couldn't help but growl at Li Zan. In this dark underground, there is no other creature, even if there are goblins and wizards, they beat and scolded Li Zan. If it dares to be disrespectful to wizards and goblins, it will be tortured in various ways, and sometimes it will even be fasted for a few days. Normally, those miserly and greedy fairies would not give it too much food. First, it needs a lot of food to satisfy its appetite, and it will cost a lot of money over time. The second is that if you eat too much and are full of energy, it is easy to do things and it is inconvenient to manage, so basically give it half or 1/3 full. Looking at the scene in front of him, Li Zan also felt a little sad. This huge fire dragon is just tied to the ground, with huge iron chains tied around its neck and legs. Get rid of it. This fiery dragon, who was imprisoned underground and never saw the sun, had become gray and loose due to being confined underground for too long. Due to long-term nutritional deficiencies, the entire dragon was skinny, and its eyes turned a cloudy pink color. Its huge spiked wings were gathered on both sides of its body, and there was nothing on it except for the bones and the thin layer of fleshy wings. This pitifully declining fire dragon completely lost the power of a giant dragon and became a slave of goblins, guarding the underground treasures for them, but it did not receive the treatment it deserved, and was even not as good as a dog in the Muggle world. There is also a box of metal pieces on the side, which is specially used by goblins to deter fire dragons. After cruel training, it has already developed a conditioned reflex to the tinkle of metal pieces. Under the violent domestication of the goblins, the majestic fire dragon has become so timid and cowering, afraid of a small jingle, it is really a dragon swimming in the shallows, and the tiger falls into the sun. Hearing the hoarse roar of the fire dragon, and the horrible scars on his face and body, he knew how miserable the other party was really living here. Stretching out and stroking the fire dragon's big head, the extremely rough touch also shows that the other party's nutrition is really not enough. Who would have imagined that a colossal creature would beg in Lizon's arms for comfort like a wrong child? Okay, it's okay, I'll take you out of here. Why did Lizon say that the Yulank iron belly dragon in front of him was malnourished? It was because a healthy Yulank iron belly dragon had shiny gray scales and a long wingspan. At the same time, the eyes are dark red, the claws are particularly long, and the body is round. But the Wulank fire dragon in front of me is not as satisfying as the other one. If it weren't for the Wulank iron belly dragon is the largest fire dragon in the world, otherwise there would be no fire dragons in the Wulank iron belly dragon who is so thin. Look. Hearing Lizon's words, Fire Dragon let out a happy cry, and Lizon cast a spell on the heavy shackles on Fire Dragon's hind legs and the thick iron chains wrapped around its neck several times. The light of the sword and the shadow of the sword. At present, what Lizon can cut off these iron chains at once is the metallic spell that comes with the innate 5-element spirit pagoda. Roar. Seeing that the iron chains and shackles that imprisoned him were cut off by Lizon, Wulanka's iron belly roared even though he was very weak now. But this time, what Lizon heard from the opponent's roar was full of joy, and Lizon was not afraid that the fire dragon's roar would attract the goblins and guards. In order to cooperate with Hagrid's actions tonight, no matter how big the disturbance here is, the other party will not come to investigate. In addition, the roar of the fire dragon is not a strange thing, there is nothing to explore. I'll bring you into a world in a while, don't panic, don't wreak havoc, you can capture those ordinary animals when you're hungry, but don't hurt those magical animals. As for those things that you cannot harm, you can sense them when you enter the small world. Quote. Lizon explained a little bit about the Yulank iron belly dragon. After all, he still has things to do, and it is inconvenient to move with such a huge fire dragon, and the goal is too big. In addition, the fire dragon is very weak now, and it still needs a period of recuperation. Roar. The trained fire dragon let out a cry to show that he understands that maybe this Yulank iron belly is not very good, but it can do very well in terms of obedience. The induction that Lizon mentioned earlier is naturally a magical induction between these magical animals after recognizing the master Lizon, which is why Lizon is not afraid that the fire dragon will accidentally injure him. At the same time, he is not afraid that the other party will wreak havoc in the small world. Since he has spoken and the other party has accepted the master, he will naturally not violate his orders. Lizon couldn't help laughing happily after bringing Wulanki's iron belly into the small world, and successfully achieved the first goal tonight. Finally, he is also a man who owns a fire dragon. It took a year to get the first fire dragon in his life. To be honest, this speed is not fast, but in the current world where fire dragons are monopolized, the speed of Lizon who has not yet developed is not too slow. But if there is the first one, then the second and third ones will gradually come into being. And after the fire dragon recovers well in the small world, it will become Lizon's other whole card besides the Shantian 5 Elements Pagoda and the Beast Spirit Orb. It should also be Lizon's trump card that Lizon can play upright at the moment. At that time, whether he directly summons the fire dragon or Lizon borrows the power of the fire dragon, Lizon's power can be greatly increased, and it will be enhanced in all aspects. There can never be too many whole cards. Now that the fire dragon is in the bag, it is time to complete the second goal. Lizon went to the deepest 4 or 5 vaults. This time the goblins attacked. Li Zan would be sorry if he didn't give them some pain. As for not having permission, it is not a problem for Li Zan. Don't forget, Li Zan also has a magical ability, space teleportation, but because it consumes the innate 5 elements psychic fluid, Li Zan almost never uses it. But it's not bad to use it now, and the price-performance ratio is still not low, so Li Zan still plans to use space teleportation so that no permission is needed. The anti-space magic circle here can't restrict Li Zan's actions, because to some extent, the spells of these spirit treasures are of a higher level than the magic spells in the Hogwarts world. It can restrict wizards from using apparition, but it can't restrict Li Zan's space movement. It's as if you use a miniature fence surrounded by toothpicks to block the footsteps of human beings. It is useless. It can block ants, but it cannot stop humans. Li Zan's second target was naturally the golden cup of Belacan Curry's Hufflepuff, which was one of Voldemort's Horcruxes. Don't say that Li Zan is afraid of some socket man. When he comes out to stir up trouble, just suppress it directly. Li Zan is always a person who takes one step and sees 3 steps, and is also a person who will never dislike the many cards in his hand. Not having a sword is completely different from having a sword without using it, not to mention that destroying a Horcrux is weakening the enemy. Why should you fight against an enemy that can weaken the enemy? Looking at the original timeline, Harry Potter was able to defeat Voldemort not because he eliminated Voldemort's Horcruxes step by step, otherwise he would not be able to defeat Voldemort even with the aura of the protagonist. In fact, Harry Potter was able to defeat Voldemort, and was even able to hold an electric welding contest in the end, because he eliminated Voldemort's Horcrux step by step. Look at how embarrassed Harry Potter was in the face of Voldemort. He was beaten and fled. Even when there were only 3 Horcruxes left, Nagel, Harry Potter, and Ravenclaw's crown, they could all be destroyed with one blow. Hogwarts magic shield. If you think about it, you must know that at this time Voldemort has already been wiped out of the 4 Horcruxes, Tom's notebook, Hufflepuff's gold cup, Slytherin locket, and Gunter's ring. It can be said that at this time Voldemort may only have half of his strength. It can be seen that Voldemort ruled an era not because of his charisma, but because of his incomparably powerful strength. It's just that 7 Horcruxes came out later, and all his strength was scattered, so it can only be said that he made a bad move. And Harry Potter was finally killed by Neville with the help of the last Horcrux, Nagel, and with the rebellion of the Elder Wand, Harry Potter was able to truly fulfill the duty entrusted to him by the name of the Savior, the real salvation out of the wizarding world. Li Zan also didn't think that he would be spared because he was a time traveler when Voldemort started the war, so Li Zan started to prepare now. At that time, if Voldemort dares to trouble me, I will definitely give him a super invincible surprise. Voldemort's 7 Horcruxes are Tom Riddle's diary, Lowen Keluo's crown, Gunter's ring, Hufflepuff's gold cup and Slytherin's locket, and finally Harry Potter and Nagel. Among the 7 Horcruxes, Li Zan is confident that he will get 3. They are Hufflepuff's gold cup that can be obtained from Bella's golden curry in a while, and Law and Kay, which can be obtained in the room of requirement after school starts. Law's diadem, and the Slytherin's locket. The Slytherin locket was now on Umbridge's neck. Li Zan felt that as long as there were enough galleons, it was not something that could not be transferred. For the remaining 4 Horcruxes, Gaunt's ring can be won, and Tom Riddle's notebook will pop out by itself in the 2nd grade. It should be said that Voldemort's good subordinate Lucius Malfoy took the initiative to send it out. Needless to say about Harry Potter at the end, Najir and Li Zan didn't want to. As long as Voldemort appeared, Najir would naturally appear, so Li Zan didn't need to worry about it. What Li Zan was more interested in was that when Voldemort came back to life, he wanted to find his 7 Horcruxes, but found that 3 were in Li Zan's hands, 1 was standing by Li Zan's side, and the other had already been wiped out. What kind of expression will the expression be? Is it like the old 8 eating a secret small hamburger? No, Lao Ba is happy eating the secret little burger. It should be the expression of Voldemort eating Lao Ba's secret little burger. It should be more interesting than the subway old man's mobile phone. You must know that Voldemort is also an interesting person. Just look at his magical laughter during the final battle at Hogwarts, and you will know that he is also a wonderful person. When Li Zan came to these vaults, he teleported them in with a swish, because he didn't know which one was Bella's vault, so Li Zan decided to loot them all. No need to thank him, he is the successor of Miyoshi in the new era. There are so many golden galleons, most people can't handle them, the water is too deep, and it's easy to drown, so let's keep it for yourself. I'm good at water, so I'm not afraid. A minute later, Li Zan ransacked all the vaults, and put all the treasures inside into Small World's warehouse. It has to be said that these treasure houses are hidden in the deepest place and guarded by Yuleng Iron Belly, which is indeed worthy of this treatment. It really filled the entire treasury with all kinds of treasures and galleons. Anyway, Li Zan will never lack galleons in the future. Having accomplished his goal, Li Zan used the ability of the bird and snake to change his body shape, and returned along the same path. Li Zan stayed at the anti-thief waterfall for a while, and then left quickly. Fortunately, Li Zan's action was fast enough. Instead of checking and searching those vaults one by one, they took them all away in a swarm. Because not long after he left Gringotts, he left, and Hagrid followed. Even Hagrid wore a hooded wizard robe like Li Zan, but his figure was really deceiving. Seeing that Hagrid had left, Li Zan naturally also left, because it was time for the actors to appear, and Li Zan did not intend to continue contacting Aurors and those goblins. Sneaking back quietly into the room of the leaky cauldron, Li Zan breathed a sigh of relief. Although this time the operation went very smoothly and the early stage was strictly planned, he was still nervous. As for why not take the opportunity to raid a few more vaults, one is that there is not enough time, and the other is that once the number of galleons reaches a certain level, their usefulness will not be that great. Just like those rich people in the previous life, no matter how much money there is, it is just a string of numbers. In addition, the few vaults that Li Zan just harvested are enough. If all the Gringotts vaults are searched, the subsequent impact and movement will be too great. At that time, the entire English magic world will be thoroughly investigating this matter. Even if Li Zan sweeps up the golden galleons, there is no way to use them on a large scale. Isn't this the 300 taels of silver here? Aren't you turning into a self-destructing truck? The galleons of wizards in England have been stolen, and most of the galleons of wizards are stored in Gringotts. If they can produce such a huge amount of galleons, what is it but thieves? That's why Li Zan took this into consideration when doing things, so he didn't search a few more vaults. Otherwise, with the magical skill of space teleportation, even if time was tight, he could still search half of the vaults. Now, Li Zan can proudly say like that horse boss, I'm not interested in money. In my previous life, I didn't even achieve financial freedom. Not to mention financial freedom, it should be said that I just got enough food and clothing. I didn't expect that after crossing, I could also pretend to be rich. No wonder everyone wants to time travel. Everyone loves time traveling, who wouldn't want to? Chapter 31. Li Zan stepped into the small world and began to count the harvest this time. As soon as I came in, I saw the Yuleng Iron Belly fire dragon preying on the lake. I ignored it, and explained that the predation should not make bloody messes, so I ignored it. There is no need to deal with it too much now, just give it time. In the small world, there is sufficient food and the ubiquitous spiritual energy to take care of its body all the time. Looking at the current situation, it will take about a month to make it a fire dragon is back on top. The first harvest is naturally this fire dragon, and the second is the harvest of a few gold curries. As for the treasures in the treasury, in order to prevent them from being stolen, they have all been cast with a division spell. Are the galleons and treasures that Li Zan took out useless, or have to break the spell one by one? I'm sorry, don't bother, Li Zan has already thought of this problem before, otherwise why do you think Li Zan stayed at the anti-thief waterfall for a while when time was still so urgent when he left? What is the function of anti-thief waterfall? That is to wash away all the spells. Does the splitting curse belong to the spell? Of course it counts. So just pass the galleons and treasures taken out from the treasury through the water of the anti-thief waterfall. Of course, Li Zan is not sure if it will work. After all, they were taken out from the waterfall. As soon as he thought about it, he did it directly. Li Zan took out some gold galleons and put them into the anti-thief waterfall. As Li Zan expected, it really worked. Li Zan passed all the galleons and treasures through the water of Fangthief waterfall, and eliminated all the division spells on it. However, Li Zan also discovered in the process that the ability to prevent the thief from falling water is also constantly weakening. It should be said that he is counteracting the splitting curse. Fortunately, the number Lien picked was enough, otherwise it would not be enough to remove all the treasures with the splitting curse. In the end, there was only a little bit left, and after Li Zan put it away, so as not to need it later, he began to count these supplies. If those goblins knew that the anti-thief waterfall they used to hinder thieves was used by Li Zan, would they be pissed off? This is Li Zan's real way of dealing with others. Anyway, Li Zan is convinced by his own intelligence. Fortunately, Li Zan is like a god in the small world, so it didn't take too much time to check these things, because he didn't have to do it himself. Of course the most gold galleons in it are piled up like a hill. The number is hundreds of thousands, and Li Zan didn't count the details. As for silver sickle and copper canute, sorry, none of them deserve to appear in these treasure houses. There are the largest number of galleons, but the largest ones are other treasures, all kinds of utensils made of gold, and various gems. In order to store these things, Li Zan had to open another warehouse. In addition to the above, there are also some magic potions, books, and some materials, including plant materials and animal materials, but Li Zan has not studied potions and these materials for the time being, so he basically cannot recognize them. This can only be sorted out slowly after Li Zan went to Hogwarts to start studying. After all, the Hogwarts library and potion master Severus will help Li Zan complete this task. In fact, what Li Zan didn't know was that these were the foundations of those pure blood families. Many of those materials were no longer available, or were very rare. And books are generally some rare knowledge, not even in the library of Hogwarts. Not to mention those magic potions. Anyway, Li Zan issued at this time. In the magic world, galleons are not only valuable, these may be more valuable than galleons. It's just that this huge wealth can only be discovered later by Li Zan. Knowing what to do, Li Zan flashed into the leaky cauldron again, and found that the theft from Gringotts did not cause any movement here, so he went back to his room and entered the small world to rest in peace. The next morning, Li Zan refused Tom's breakfast and made his way to Diagon Alley, hearing discussions of the theft from Gringotts all the way. It seems that after a night of fermenting, the Gringotts theft case still came out. Li Zan followed the flow of people to Gringotts. At this time, Gringotts had been quarantined. Many Aurors were investigating there, and some goblins were also being questioned. The goblin director here is yelling at the Aurors angrily. Li Zan even saw a reporter interviewing the Minister of Magic Fudge. Of course, the other party is a very official statement. To find the murderer, Li Zan, all I can say is good luck to him. There are quite a few people around, and indeed gossip is the nature of human beings, no matter what time and space they are in. Any group of people will have a heart of gossip, just like the essence of human beings is a repeater. Li Zan stood aside for a while and left after a while, because there was nothing left to see, so he decided not to stay here any longer, so as not to cause more accidents. After leaving Diagon Alley, Li Zan used apparition to return to his home, and then he had a good rest, packed his luggage by the way, and arranged some things in the real world. Because Hogwarts is about to start school. On September 1st, Li Zan asked his exclusive driver to take him to King's Cross Station. In order not to be so conspicuous, Li Zan still packed some luggage in a small trolley. Because no matter if you are a new student or a senior student, you will not go to Hogwarts empty-handed at the beginning of school. If Li Zan doesn't want to be the most independent and eye-catching cub in the audience, then don't do it. Okay, you guys go back. Li Zan told his driver and bodyguards after they helped unload the luggage from the trunk of the car and stack it on the trolley. Okay, master. Regarding Li Zan's order, they naturally obeyed and did not dare to have any objections. Those who can stay by Li Zan's side are not fools, and those who are ignorant cannot be selected by Li Zan. As for the title of young master, that's naturally what Li Zan asked them to call him. At least young master is more in line with his age than boss and boss. Seeing Li Zan's formation, the people coming and going in King's Cross Station couldn't help but distance themselves a little. Even though Li Zan looked very handsome, he was not easy to get along with. In such a democratic country, it is better for ordinary people to stay away from those powerful strangers, otherwise it is impossible to tell when you will be directly clicked off because of being disliked by the other party. With Li Zan's current strength, it's not a problem to push such a small trolley forward. He even pushed it with one hand while holding a purple rectangular ticket with the other. There is no doubt that the Hogwarts logo is in the middle of the ticket, and on the ticket it says Wheel Squat, God of Anti-River Crab, to Hogwarts, platform 9 3/4. Liaison was not Harry Potter. He thought that there was no such platform. He put the ticket in his pocket, because he could feel that magic was cast on the ticket. It was a proof that they could pass through the partition wall. That's why Hagrid told Harry to keep the ticket safe, which is very important. Liaison rolled out the trolley and soon came to the platform marked 9 and 10. When he arrived, he saw a student stroller rushing into the partition wall between platforms 9 and 10. Liaison looked around and found that no one noticed how jaw-dropping this scene was, as if they hadn't seen anything. However, a guard at the side noticed Liaison's appearance and signaled him with his eyes, meaning not to stay here and enter as soon as possible. Liaison nodded to express his understanding. He knew that this guard was also a wizard. In fact, the Ministry of Magic sent people here every year when the school started. The purpose is to limit the number of people passing through the partition at the same time, so as not to attract the attention of muggles. But Liaison didn't just sense this guard wizard, he also sensed several wizards hiding in the crowd beside him. But it's normal to think about it. The start of Hogwarts School is naturally a very important thing for England's magic community. The Ministry of Magic will naturally send people to guard and protect it to avoid any accidents. Just think about the fact that in the real world, every time school starts, there will be a policeman guarding it, and it is said that the magic world is not particularly safe. If there is no one to guard and protect, pure blood or mixed blood little wizards are fine, and have their own parents to protect them, but muggle-born little wizards are likely to be targeted. Fudge didn't want his position as Minister of Magic to be taken away because of this incident. Liaison pushed the car and ran towards the partition wall. What he didn't know was that when he was about to hit the partition wall, the ticket in his pocket suddenly flashed a light. If he saw it, he knew that his previous guess was correct. Liaison felt that he had entered a somewhat dark passage, but the passage was not very long, only about 10 meters away, and Liaison came out soon. After coming out, the very familiar wizard-style decorations and lights, as well as the Hogwarts Express 5,972 feet train written on the front of the car. Looking at the steaming train, Liaison curled his lips. What about the Hogwarts Express? The Hogwarts Express is about the same, at this speed, in his previous life, in front of Dongguang, an infrastructure madman, not to mention the top 100, even 11 million may not be its turn. Liaison carried his luggage and boarded the Hogwarts Express. He arrived very early, so there were basically no people on the train, so there were still a lot of empty workshops. When Liaison is in a car, he usually likes to go to the corners, especially the last corner, which is Liaison's favorite. When Liaison came to the rear of the train, he found that one of the two carriages on the left and right was already occupied. A girl a few years older than Liaison was looking down at the book in her hand. Her face was blocked by her hanging silver hair, so Liaison didn't know what she looked like. Since the most desirable right-hand side was reserved in advance by this senior, I can only choose the left side, but it doesn't matter, as long as it is the last row, then anything is easy to say. There is no need for a magic spell at all. Liaison's strength is enough for him to stuff his luggage into the place where the luggage is placed above by himself. What he didn't know was that when he entered the compartment on the left, the senior who was looking down at the book looked up at him. What kind of face is that? In Liaison's words, it's his XP face, fair skin, small chong nose, star-like eyes, paired with long silver hair, a bit like a royal sister. If you are older, wear a pair of gold-rimmed glasses with a chain, put on a set of white-collar work clothes, and add that cold temperament, you will be a safe and domineering female president. The carved eagle on her wizard robes indicates that she is from the most learned school of Ravenclaw. Seeing Liaison, she was also very puzzled. She prefers to be quiet, but today is the first day of freshmen's school, so the carriage in front will definitely be very noisy. For her own safety, she went out early to take up a seat, but she didn't expect that not long after she sat down, she saw a freshman. Such a weak little brother must be a first-year freshman. Although the other party was really good-looking, he was the most handsome and temperamental she had ever seen, but his collagen-filled face still betrayed his age, although he was much taller than ordinary people of the same age. According to the general freshmen, they will definitely not come so fast. Even if they come, they will chat a lot with their parents at the station, reluctant to leave, and then rush to get on the train when it is about to leave. She was like this back then. But this freshman not only came early, but also chose the quietest rear of the car. It seems that he does not have the noisy and lively personality of his peers. Looking at his appearance again, he has a calm appearance, and that aristocratic temperament, coupled with black hair. She thinks the nobles in the ancient East should look like this, right? As for why it is not considered to be from other countries, Neon has its own magic school and magic institute, and the country of Neon will never have such a family. It's not that she hasn't seen Neon people before, they are generally short in height, and they have that temperament. They will definitely not have the temperament of the boy in front of them. This kind of thing can't be learned at all, it's innate. When she saw that the other party was about to lift the huge suitcase up, she took out her wand and prepared to cast a floating spell on the other party. In the end, she didn't expect that although the other party was young, she had such strong physical fitness, so she put away her wand. After the other party packed up, she also retracted her gaze, and continued to look down at the books in front of her. She didn't know how shocking her behavior would be if her acquaintances saw it, and when she would take the initiative to help others, especially the opposite gender. Although the other party is just a younger brother, it has never happened before. Although as a prefect, she usually answers and helps her classmates with any questions, but it is always the other party who offers to send a signal that she needs help, which is completely different from today's situation. But the flower of Jailing, who continued to read the book, didn't feel how surprising her behavior just now was. She was just following her inner thoughts. While it is still quiet, continue reading, otherwise, as a prefect, she will not be so leisurely when the train starts, because the prefect will patrol the corridors of the Hogwarts express train to avoid some little wizards seek death. After all, young wizards at this age, especially those in the first and second grades, are at the time when their energy and curiosity are very strong. If they don't pay attention, they may cause big things. Like 2 years ago, there was a little wizard who died and was thrown out of the Hogwarts Express. Fortunately, he was rescued in the end, otherwise things would have exploded. In fact, there is a special prefect car in the car, where she can rest and hold meetings, but she doesn't like it, especially some red-haired guy. It's too annoying, like brown sugar, it doesn't make sense. For your own peace, it's good to stay here. So, many times the so-called first impression in this world is based on appearance. The classic Dragon King smile with crooked mouth, the ugly smile is called shabby, wretched, and ugly, but the handsome smile is called evil charm, which is called different taste. Look at it, this world is so unfair. Just look at Shell Lizzie's peak appearance and playing with water guns. Fortunately, Li Zan is not afraid. He is as handsome as Reader's Yanzu, and he also has the added value of his appearance and temperament, so the first impression he gives people is naturally perfect. Li Zan was sitting by the window, looking at the students gradually increasing outside and the carriage slowly starting to make noise. Fortunately, he came earlier, otherwise he really didn't like the noise. With a thought, the originally open door of the carriage was closed. Such a small movement does not need the assistance of wands and spells at all. Li Zan knew that in the magical world of England, besides platform 9 3/4, there was another platform, also here at King's Cross Station. Unlike platform 9 3/4 to Hogwarts, another platform 7 1/2, between platforms 7 and 8, is for long-distance trains to wizarding villages on the continent. However, if Li Zan really intends to go to the European continent, he will definitely not come to King's Cross Station to take a bus from platform 7 1/2. Considering that it takes almost half a day to get to Hogwarts by wheel squatting, wouldn't it take 10 days and a half a month to go to the European continent? With this skill, is it not easy to fly in the plane of the technological world? Why do you torture yourself like this? Li Zan, who was sitting by the window, saw Harry Potter and the Weasley family with the iconic red hair, and they all boarded the train one after another as time went by. After reading for a while, Li Zan, who had nothing to do, took out Newt Scamander's book, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, and read it. To be honest, this book is not very thick, and the description of fantastic beasts in it is only rough. That's all, but Li Zan still saw it with relish. In fact, this is not the first time Li Zan has read this book, but he still takes it out and flips it when he is bored. What Li Zan didn't know was that when he was immersed in the sea of books, Senior Lowen Keluo in the next carriage had already left. But when he left, he stared at Lizan deeply, but he didn't notice it. It can only be said that Lizan left a deep impression on a certain girl's heart. Lizan didn't know that he had attracted the attention of a beautiful senior before entering Hogwarts. Let's look good. It is absolutely not too much to describe it with a sentence on the internet before. If being handsome is a crime, then I have committed a heinous crime. If being cool is a mistake, then I have made mistakes again and again, then wouldn't I be cut to pieces? Lizan said that the above remarks have nothing to do with him, they are all the author's nonsense. Such adjectives are not worthy of themselves, only the ancestors who are reading books are worthy of it. No wonder the author receives such a small salary every month. With his EQ, it's not bad if the boss doesn't fire him. Immersed in the book, no, to be precise, Lizan should be looking at the book but actually thinking about it, he didn't notice the passage of time. He was brought back to his senses by a knock on the door, and when he looked up, a man and a woman standing at the door knocking on the carriage door with luggage were looking at him. It's just that the scene in front of him seemed a bit out of harmony. The little chubby boy shrank back, as if he was afraid of seeing strangers. On the contrary, the girl standing in front was generous and confident. She should be the one who knocked on the door just now. "Hello, can we come in? The other cars are full." Hearing the little girl's polite question, Lizan nodded. If it were someone else, he might not agree, but the two in front of him are not strangers, but acquaintances, in a certain sense, so Lizan didn't refuse them either. "I am already in the last compartment, and the other party must have come to find me one by one, and they have all arrived at my place, which means that the front must be full." Thinking of this, Lizan couldn't help but think of the senior in the car on the right when he got on the bus. Lizan looked over and found that the owner of that carriage had changed, and turned into a few Hufflepuff seniors wearing wizard robes. It turned out that the senior who pulled when Keluo had left at some point. Maybe she was called by her friend, but for some reason, a sense of loss suddenly flashed in Lizan's heart. It was the loss of not seeing that figure. But this loss came and went quickly. He looked at the two people who were struggling to carry their luggage, and he stood up and helped them put their luggage away. Both of them were taken aback by Lizan's huge strength. Although Lizan looked much taller than them, they didn't expect to hit him with such great strength. Hermione knew how heavy her suitcase was, and it was not easy for her father to move it today, which meant that this person of the same age as her was about as strong as an adult man. That's right, these two acquaintances, who were destined to be in the same car as Lizan, are none other than Miss Know-It-All super academic Hermione Granger and the future swordsman Neville Longbottom. Therefore, it's not surprising that women are strong and men are weak. The current Neville has not grown up yet, and is still a cowardly and stammering child. As for why Lizan didn't take out his wand and cast a floating spell, but directly carried it up. The main reason is that there is no need for this. Is the wand out to show off in front of Hermione and Neville that he can use the levitation charm? And when the wand came out, it took enough time to recite the spell to put the luggage away. Well, one more thing, Lizan didn't want to hear Hermione's long speech, even if she was a super cute little girl. Lizan thought that he could avoid a catastrophe in this way, but what he didn't expect was that many times things didn't happen because of our subjective thoughts. "Hello, I'm Hermione, Hermione Granger. You are also a freshman at Hogwarts, right?" Although Hermione used the words of inquiry, but it was in an affirmative tone, not because of anything else, it was because she had met Lizan in Diagon Alley, Ollivander's wand shop. To be precise, when Lizan had just obtained his own magic wand reincarnation, the scene he created was seen by Hermione passing by. Neville Longbottom, Neville, who walked in together, saw that Hermione took the initiative to introduce her, and remembered what her grandma said about getting along well with her classmates, so she also said it. It's just that his voice was extremely weak. If not for being close, Lizan might not have heard it. Seeing Neville with a round face in front of him, and him with his head down all the time, Lizan didn't blame him, knowing that his appearance had something to do with his childhood experience. When he was 1.5 years old, his parents were tortured to the point of madness by 4 Death Eaters using the Cruciatus curse in front of him. Later, in order to avoid this incident from leaving him with a psychological shadow, his family cast a forgetting curse on him. As a result, he was very forgetful, and his personality was somewhat dull. As for his inferiority complex and cowardice, it was caused by his family. Neville was considered a squib for a long time when he was a child, pointing to a person who was born in a wizarding family and at least one of his parents was a wizard, but he had no magic power and could not learn magic. In order to force Neville to reveal his magical potential, his great-uncle Algy pushed him off the pier of the Black Lake, and had nothing to gain except almost drowning Neville. If it didn't work once, it came a second time. When Neville was 8 years old, his great-uncle started acting like a demon again, grabbing Neville by the ankles and hanging him upside down from the upstairs window. But when he turned around to pick up something, he loosened his grip on Neville's ankle. Liaison didn't know if the accident was real or not. Anyway, he was skeptical. After all, there was the Black Lake incident first. Fortunately, this time Neville fell on the ground and flew across the garden, fell on the road and awakened his magic power, otherwise there might be a third and fourth time. This time, Neville's uncle was very happy, and even bought a toad for Neville, which is the toad called Lifford in his hand now, but this toad, Lifford, is not worry-free goods, even lost. So Neville is also a poor baby, but he can be assigned to Gryffindor. Although he does not seem to fit Gryffindor's brave and fearless image, he is strong in heart, soft on the outside and strong on the inside. Think about it in the original timeline, when Voldemort brought the news that Harry Potter was dead, and wanted everyone at Hogwarts to surrender him, only Neville stood up, and in the end it was his Gryffindor sword that was chopped off the head of Najir the Serpent, pressing the final button for Voldemort and Harry's battle. Therefore, as one of the unknown sons of prophecy, Neville also has his own unique style. But the pensive Liaison seemed to have forgotten that there was a big trouble beside him. Seeing Liaison, who fell into deep thought after hearing Neville's introduction, Hermione couldn't help curling her lips angrily. Fortunately, Liaison also came back to his senses at this time, smiled and said to Hermione and Neville, "I am Liaison from Dongguang. According to your habits, I am Zon Li, but I don't think it sounds good. I hope you call me Liaison, but it's good to know that Li is the surname and Zon is the first name." Liaison. Hermione silently repeated this difficult-to-pronounce name a few times. After all, there were still differences between Eastern and Western cultures. "Liaison, where is your very cool black and gold wand?" Hearing Hermione's words, Liaison looked at her in surprise. How did the other party know that her wand reincarnation was black and gold? Seeing Liaison's puzzled eyes, and Neville, who has been huddled in the corner, sitting on only half of the stool, quietly cast his concerned eyes over. "Black and gold wand, is there such a wand? When you bought a wand from Mr. Ollivander before, I passed by and saw the shocking scene." Well, when Hermione said this, Liaison understood. It turned out to be such a thing, and he was still thinking hard. How did the other party know? You must know that only Ollivander and Professor Flitwick know about the reincarnation of the wand. These two are not talkative people, and naturally they will not spread it everywhere. How did Hermione know? So it turned out to be the case. It's just a magic wand. What's so interesting about it? Speaking of which, what are the materials and cores of your wands? I have done a little research on the wands, so I can tell you something you don't know. In order to prevent Hermione from continuing to grab her wand, Liaison resorted to the legendary method of changing the subject. My wand is vinewood, with a dragon heartstring core. Hermione really doesn't have much research on wands. As a studious child, she still wants to learn new knowledge very much, so Liaison's very obvious method of changing the topic is ignored for the time being. Anyway, she has a lot of ways later return. Seeing the other two people looking at him, Neville swallowed and said, "Made of chestnut wood, unicorn hair." Then I'll start with Hermione's wand. Since Hermione answered first, then Liaison spoke in sequence, and when Hermione heard Liaison's words, Hermione couldn't help leaning forward, and her eyes almost overflowed with anticipation. Grapevine wood is also a relatively rare wood in the magic world. In fact, according to our conventional understanding, vinewood is not a tree, because it is very slender compared to ordinary trees, and it is soft and difficult to shape. However, the Druids believe that any plant with a woody stem is a tree, so vinewood is also counted as a tree, but if you want to use vinewood to make a wooden stick, ordinary stick makers cannot do it. Only a wand master like Ollivander can. Quote. Liaison paused for a moment, then continued. Vine wands are relatively rare because of their difficulty in making, but this does not mean that vine wands are weak. Vine wands are often chosen for wizards of noble purpose, visionary, and capable of doing things that would shock their friends who thought they understood them. Quote. Hearing Lizon's words, Hermione smiled happily. Isn't this all praise for herself? Hermione doesn't think that Lizon is talking nonsense, lying to herself, or flattering herself, but Hermione now is not as confident as her future self. The fluffy hair and the front teeth that look like rabbit teeth have caused her to be criticized by her peers in school before. Coupled with her somewhat easy-to-teach character, she will naturally not be welcomed by others. Of course, being a good teacher is actually a manifestation of Hermione's willingness to help others, but for the children, the most difficult thing to accept is the criticism of their peers. After all, this is a very embarrassing thing in their eyes. For their own self-esteem, they will naturally quarrel, so the conflict between Hermione and Ron in the original timeline came about in this way. But Lizon has the soul of an adult, so naturally it won't be the case. Looking at Hermione, it is indeed rare for this girl to be praised by her peers other than the teacher and elders, so now she is so happy to hear Lizon's explanation. Lovely, Lizon coughed and continued. It is generally easier to make a powerful wand with a dragon heartstring as the core. After all, this is the material taken from the heart of a powerful dragon. With the dragon heartstring wand, the spells you cast will be more gorgeous, and you can learn magic faster than other types. Quote. Regarding Long Shinxian, Lizon stopped talking about it, and later on about the black magic. It's better not to say anything about the current Hermione. It turns out that my wand contains so many meanings. Hermione took out her wand and said happily, and said in the next second, I've finished talking about my wand, let's talk about Neville's wand. Neville didn't mind that Hermione was more active than himself in wanting to know his wand. In other words, his character made it difficult for him to have conflicts with others, of evaluation. Looking at their desperate looks, there is nothing to do anyway, so let's continue talking. The characteristics of chestnut wood are like a piece of white paper, with little tendency. This is the opposite of vine wood. Its characteristics are determined by the core. Different cores have different characteristics of chestnut wands. Chestnut wands are usually chosen for experienced trainers of magical creatures, wizards with a talent for herbal medicine, or skilled flyers. Compared with other wand core materials, unicorn tail hair is more likely to faithfully reflect the essence of magic, and is less likely to be interfered by other magic. Wands made of unicorn tail hair are very loyal and have a relationship with wizards, very close. Quote. Speaking of this, Lizon paused for a while, then turned his head to look at Neville seriously and said, So, Neville, you have to be more confident, don't be so inferior, believe in your choice of wand, you should trust yourself. Neville, who was listening to Lizon's words carefully, did not expect that Lizon would suddenly say such a thing to him. Although it was a bit abrupt and caught off guard, he was very happy in his heart. Because besides his grandma, Lizon is the first person who affirms and gives him encouragement. As for why Lizon said something that seemed to be nosy, it was because Lizon was very optimistic about Neville's child, and at the same time hoped that he would have more confidence and grow up earlier. That's right, what Lizon said is right. As a boy, Neville, you should be brave and confident, just like now, sit up straight and don't be shy. Hermione on the side also agreed with Lizon's statement, and said to Neville. Hearing what Hermione said, seeing Lizon's encouraging eyes, and what he just said, Neville sat up straight involuntarily. Seeing Neville like this, neither Lizon nor Hermione said anything more. Even Hermione knew that some things should not be rushed. The attention was not on Neville, so someone had to take over. Hermione didn't want Lizon to escape. Lizon, just now you mentioned Neville's and mine's wands, but you haven't mentioned yours yet. Can you show us your black gold wand by the way? Who can refuse a request made by a cute girl with big eyes and a small voice? Lizon definitely does not belong to the category of hard-hearted rejection. Thinking about it, the other party has seen it before, and he will use a wand at Hogwarts in the future, so he will not hide it. Wow, so cool. Lizon's magic wand is naturally stored in a sealed cabinet in the small world, and it can be taken out directly when needed. There is no delay at all, and there is no trouble of losing it at all. The poplar wand is also placed inside together. In order to cover it up, Lizon pretended to take it out of his sleeve. Anyway, he was wearing loose clothes, so no one could tell whether there was a magic wand hidden in the sleeve. So when Lizon took out his magic wand to reincarnate, both Hermione and Neville were amazed. Could the magic wand be so beautiful? No one would question the fact that it is an ornament. Thinking of their own wands again, Hermione and Neville couldn't help but have a thought in their minds: there really is no harm without comparison. Wand for two, courtesy of you. Of course, although the two of them were envious and curious, they didn't foolishly ask Lizon to give them the wand for a look. Not to mention Lizon's magic wand. Lizon is still very satisfied with this. These two little guys can get along, they are not that kind of brats. Lizon roughly told Hermione and Neville about his wand, and unsurprisingly won the amazement of the two of them. It can only be said that Lizon and this magic wand are both lucky to be able to meet each other. By the way, Lizon, are you from a wizard family? Otherwise, how would you know so much knowledge? Hermione suddenly remembered and asked. From the time they met to now, apart from Lizon's appearance that impressed Hermione deeply, Lizon's profound knowledge and learned appearance. No, I'm a Muggle-born wizard just like you. As for why I know so much, it's because I bought a lot of books and I usually like to read more. Of course Lizon can't say that I know so much because I'm a time traveler and I've seen movies in my previous life, right? But he was right. After all, the 7 movies only roughly stated some things in the novel, and did not mention many details. This is what Lizon learned after reading the books he bought at Lihan bookstore. After all, knowledge is priceless and can be used in any world. Bang! Just when Lizon and the others were chatting happily, the carriage door was suddenly opened very roughly, and the sound of the carriage door slamming suddenly startled Hermione and the others. Lizon couldn't help feeling a little more angry in his heart. If he didn't explain the situation clearly, he would definitely tell the other party what is polite. Looking up, he saw a platinum blonde hair, with his head held high and his face full of arrogance, as if he was the second child. His third pretend boy was standing at the door, and behind him stood 2 boys who looked like bodyguards. Of course, this is compared with peers. Your wand is very interesting, how about playing with it for me? Hearing the other party's high-spirited words, Hermione looked angry. Although Neville was a little scared, but thinking of the way Lizon treated her just now, she looked at the other party stiffly, but his appearance was not too scary, and the toad Raffle, who was clutched in his hand, was about to burp. Lizon naturally recognized the other party. Such a unique platinum blonde hair. Is it the Malfoy family? Then the identity of this guy is ready to be revealed. Draco Malfoy. The 2 behind him are undoubtedly his little follower Crabbe and Al Gore. Lizon smiled, and before he could speak, Malfoy, who was looking at people with his nose, continued, "You mudblood, can you have such a wand? Give it to me." As for how to recognize Lizon as a Muggle-born wizard, it was because he had seen almost all young wizards from pure blood families of the same age, and he would never forget someone with Lizon's appearance. And when he was at the door just now, he heard Lizon's name, which was obviously Dongfang's name. That's why he was so arrogant. Lizon didn't expect that it was not his true love, Harry Potter, but himself who was first troubled by Della, so he was caught in an unwarranted disaster and asked Harry to stop the disaster. However, this does not mean that Lizon intends to let it go, especially when Draco uttered the word mudblood. Although it is like a child arguing and swearing, it does not mean that Lizon will put up with him. Roll. So Lizon said coldly to Draco, but how could Draco, a child spoiled by his family, be told away by such a simple sentence from Lizon? Even because Lizon didn't do what he said, he became even more angry. For such spoiled children, Lizon naturally has a way to subdue them, which is to scare them into fear. Let me tell you, I am the sole heir of the Malfoy family of the Holy 28 pure blood families. Malfoy hadn't noticed the coming of the crisis yet, and was still proudly showing his sense of superiority to Lizon. Didn't you hear me when I said get lost? This time Lizon stood up directly and said to the Malfoy trio, although the voice was not loud, but this time the power displayed by Lizon instantly frightened Malfoy so much that his mind went blank, and all he wanted to say was gone. Swallow it back. Not only him, but the tall and burly Gore and Crawl standing behind him were also pale with fright. With this book sword, they felt that the one standing in front of them was not Lizon, but a mighty fire dragon roaring ferociously at them. What? Looking at Marco and the others who were frightened and fled, Lizon sat back in his seat and smiled. Just now their feeling was not wrong, they were indeed facing a giant dragon, just now Li Zan used the might of the Yulank iron-bellied fire dragon in his own small world to scare them. Ordinary people, let alone attack in front of the fire dragon, whether they can stand still is still a problem, that kind of oppressive feeling from high-end creatures. Li Zan had already kept his hand, and only borrowed 1/10 of his power, otherwise the only son of the Malfoy family would be frightened out of his psychological shadow, and there would be a lot of shit to talk about. Of course Li Zan is not afraid, but he also finds it troublesome. Now that he does not have the strength to fight against the entire British magic world, he still needs to be a bit more cautious. Not only Malfoy and the others were scared and fled, but Hermione and Neville, who were sitting aside, even if they were not feeling the power of the fire dragon, were also scared enough, like the Toad Riff, who just stuck out his tongue and pretended to be dead. Hoo. It took the two little ones some time to recover, but this time there was more admiration and fear in their eyes looking at Li Zan. But Hermione was Hermione, and there was a reason why she ended up being sorted into Gryffindor instead of Ravenclaw, who seemed a better fit for her. Li Zan, the way you were angry just now is so scary. Not only that arrogant guy felt it, but I also seem to see that you look like a giant dragon. Seeing Hermione jumping up and down beside her, Li Zan smiled. As long as she wasn't frightened, she was still so lively, and Neville on the side was also full of admiration. Ha, it's nothing. In fact, your feelings are right. I am particularly interested in magical animals in the magical world, so I will study some of their habits and the like. Like just now, I imitated Longway of the Yulank Iron Belly Fire Dragon, so I have this kind of power. Quote, it's amazing. I didn't expect wizards to be like dragons. Li Zan, can you tell us something about magical animals? For the sake of the righteousness of the two little guys just now, Li Zan did not refuse them, but chatted with them after closing the door of the carriage that had just been violently opened. What Li Zan didn't know was that in the corridor of the carriage, which was in the blind spot of his vision, the senior with silver hair that he met as soon as he got on the train was watching with a magic wand. She has been watching since Delacoe took Crabbe and Goyle to open the door violently, because it happened to be her turn to be on duty, so she saw all this in her eyes. I have to say that Li Zan's dragon power exuding fire dragons just now really shocked her, but compared to Della, who was so scared that she was so frightened that she froze and panicked, her performance was undoubtedly much better, subconsciously holding a magic wand if you want to fight back. Fortunately, Li Zan not only controlled the level of Longway, but also controlled the range. If she was farther away, she might not be able to feel it. At that moment, she really thought that she was facing a fire dragon, but luckily the next moment her reason told her that it was not. Imitate the might of Wulanki's Iron Belly Charmander. Fantastic animal lover. This little boy is really getting more and more interesting, mysterious, as if covered with a veil, my little Li Zan. Don't ask how she can stand so far away and still hear Li Zan's words, it's just a small curse, not worth mentioning. She turned around and continued to patrol. She will spend a lot of time with Li Zan in the future, don't worry about this moment, sometimes she will take off Li Zan's veil of mystery. Do the kids want to buy something? At this time, the salesman on the train knocked on the door suddenly, opened it and asked Li Zan if they needed to buy some candy during the long journey. Calculate how much money is on the trolley, I want it all. Li Zan said very proudly. The saleswoman is also very happy. The more she sells, the more her commission will be, so are all the little wizards getting rich recently. A total of 4 gold galleons and 11 silver sickles. Seeing that the other party gave the answer without counting at all, Li Zan looked at the other party in doubt. With the bad math of wizards, shouldn't they be able to calculate so quickly? Oh, there is a kid in front who also asked for a cart of candy, which is exactly the same, so I don't need to do the calculation again. Seeing Li Zan's doubts, the aunt explained. After saying this, Li Zan understood that he was the last carriage, and he was able to buy the whole trolley of snacks so boldly. It must be Harry. After all, Harry in the wizarding world followed in the ordinary world. He is completely different. As he inherited the Potter family's treasury, he is not short of money. Don't forget that the Potter family is the shampoo family in the wizarding world, and it is basically monopolized by the Potter family. When watching movies in the previous life, everyone felt that Snape's greasy hair was largely due to his reluctance to use shampoo from the rival family. Of course, Li Zan thinks that another guess is more in line with the specific situation, that is, people want to please themselves. After Lily Evans passed away, there is no one in the world who makes him worthy of dressing up. You must know that Snape was also the same when he was young. A little meat. Li Zan, we can't finish eating so many snacks you bought, and eating so many sweets can easily cause tooth decay. Seeing Li Zan who bought all the snacks on the Whole Foods trolley, and Li Zan who started to tell them to start eating, Hermione began to say, after all, she came from a family of dentists, and she still pays great attention to the health of teeth. It doesn't matter. It's okay to eat some for a long time, not for a long time, and I didn't say that I can eat it all at once. If I can't finish it, I can take it to Hogwarts. Who knows if there is a store in the school to buy such snacks? Be prepared. Well, you both pick some, and I'll put the rest away. As for whether there is a small shop in Hogwarts, Li Zan naturally knows that there is no such thing, so it is not too much to buy a small cart this time. Freshmen have nothing to do with it. Of course, Li Zan can also secretly go to Hogsmeade Village to buy them through secret passages, but before that, you need to cover yourself. Many times, many things are clearly separated by a layer of window paper, even if it is broken, but there is a completely different difference between having this layer of paper and not having this layer of paper, just like having that layer of film and not having that layer of film are two different things. A completely different concept, right? Okay, then let's pick some, but Li Zan, you are so rich. I dare not use the galleons I exchanged at Gringotts Bank. Professor McGonagall told me to prepare for buying books in the future. Yes, now, do you know Professor McGonagall? Well, the little girl's chatterbox skill has been turned on again, but the movements of her hands have not stopped. After all, no matter how mature she is still just a child. As long as she is a child, she can't resist the temptation of snacks, let alone being bullied at home. Hermione is very strict. After getting along for a while, Neville was no longer so restrained in front of Li Zan. Knowing that Li Zan and Hermione really regarded him as a friend, he took the first step bravely and reached out to take the same thing, candy. Because although Neville had no friends before, he had seen other children sharing delicious food with each other. But Neville didn't want Li Zan and Hermione to feel greedy, so they just took one. Only now did he realize that he should have bought all the candies before Li Zan opened his mouth just now, not to grab Li Zan's limelight, but he felt that he should invite them by himself. Just eat and drink. Don't look at Neville's appearance, but he is also a little local tyrant. His grandma also gave him a lot of galleons, so he can buy the full price of a cart of snacks like just now. At such a young age, you don't need installments to buy so many things, and you can pay for it in full, which is really enviable. But Li Zan wasn't envious. Now he can be said to be richer than Nawe, even the entire Longbottom family. Take a few more, don't be so polite. Seeing that Neville only took a pot cake, which is very popular among wizards, Li Zan thought he was embarrassed, so he grabbed a few good-looking snacks from the food trolley and stuffed them into his arms. That's right, Li Zan even bought a food trolley, for an extra sickle. For the rest, Li Zan took a look at what Hermione and Neville had chosen, and picked some that they didn't choose and put them on the table. Then, with a wave of his hand, all the snacks and food trolleys in front of him disappeared. Wow! Seeing Li Zan disappearing the snacks and trolley in an instant, Hermione looked at him in surprise, but Neville on the side was not like her, because he had seen such scenes at home, so he could roughly see Li Zan should have used an item that had been cast with the traceless stretching spell. Li Zan, how did you do it? Hermione, there is a magic in the wizarding world called the untraceable stretching curse, which can be cast on objects. Li Zan knew that he had aroused the other party's curiosity again, and it would be good to teach the cute little witch if he had nothing to do, so he told her about the untraceable stretching curse. At the same time, I took out the necklace hanging on the neck and showed it for a while. The pendant hanging at the bottom of the necklace was indeed cast by Li Zan with the no trace stretching curse. Although the volume is not very large, it was used by Li Zan to make its small world cover as perfectly adequate. Not only the necklace, but also his suitcase and handbag. It didn't cost much. During this year, Li Zan continued to practice the magic spell he mastered with the elixir transformed by the 5-element spirit formation in the small world. Not to mention anything else, if the black wizard from a year ago came to trouble Li Zan again, Li Zan would definitely not need to use the Shantian 5 Elements Spirit Pagoda, and he would not be so embarrassed. At this moment, a loud voice suddenly came from the other end of the carriage, attracting everyone's attention. Many little wizards even ran over to watch, and Hermione was no exception. Don't underestimate the curiosity of a Gryffindor. Heart. As for Li Zan, he stayed in the carriage with Neville. One was not interested, and the other was that there were too many people and he was a little socially afraid, so he didn't go. Because Li Zan was here, although the passive talent was not turned on, Toad Rifle still preferred to stay in the carriage, so there was no such thing as the toad being lost and Hermione took Neville to look for it. Li Zan didn't go to eat melons, Hermione went anyway, just come back later and ask her, but he focused on the snacks he just bought. The first is the BB multi-flavored bean, which is said to be an adventure in every bite. For such a snack, Li Zan stays away from it, and he will never eat it. Don't ask why. If you ask, it means that Li Zan feels that he is definitely not the Emperor of Europe. BB multi-flavored bean has developed to the present, and there are dozens of flavors, 4 categories, 3 of which are relatively normal. The first is fruits and vegetables, eggplant, olives, overcooked cabbage, squash, bean sprouts, tomatoes, spinach, etc. The second is fish and shrimp meat, bacon, beef chowder, chicken, ham, prawns, salmon, sardines, bouillabaisse, etc. The third is other broad categories, including chocolate, cheese, pepper, mushrooms, toast, sherry, mint hard candy, coffee, toffee and so on. In fact, the above are nothing. If it is only these 3 categories, Li Zan will not refuse at all. The problem lies in the 4th category. Li Zan has always felt that the 4th category of BB Duo Do is superfluous, it's against humanity. The 4th category is the non-food category. There are only 4 types, but each is more disgusting than the same. Soap, booger, earwax, vomit. Well, I don't want to eat it after reading it, let alone taste it myself. Li Zan doesn't know what Bertie Bott, the inventor of BB's multi-flavored beans, thinks, adding such a flavor. Are you afraid that BB multi-flavored beans will sell well? Anyway, Li Zan has no interest in this at all. There are so many other snacks, why must he make himself uncomfortable? For example, the candy that Li Zan is holding in his hand is similar to a magic wand, the licorice magic wand, also known as the licorice magic wand. From the name, it can be seen that it has a licorice flavor. There is also Kuibao Super Bubblegum, which should be the most expensive snack Li Zan bought this time, priced at 2 silver sickles. Why is blowing treasure super bubblegum so expensive? Because this kind of bubblegum can make people blow out bluebell-colored bubbles, and this bubble can float in the room for several days without breaking. Then there's pink coconut sorbet in shiny pink cubes, pumpkin pie that tastes like a Cornish mince pie but filled with pumpkin, and chocolate balls filled with strawberry jelly and custard cubes. All kinds of snacks have really opened up a new world for Li Zan. Although the variety is not as many as in the world of science and technology, they are all weird, and it is really easy to satisfy people's curiosity. And Li Zan likes to eat snacks before and after time travel, otherwise he wouldn't have changed from a handsome guy to a chubby man before time travel. But the snacks are delicious, but they are a bit thirsty. Li Zan took out a pot of watermelon juice from the small world, and even put ice cubes in the watermelon juice extravagantly. The watermelon is naturally the watermelon grown by Li Zan in the small world, juicing is just a matter of thought, and the ice cubes are taken from the refrigerator. Li Zan, who is in a small world, is not afraid of being hungry and thirsty at all. I hope everyone will support it and subscribe more.